Yes. First I'll show you that predefined validator XML file. You can see it from struts core jar file. Open jar files, my jars, struts 1.3. Open struts core jar file. Under core jar file org.apache.struts. Under validator package you can find one validator rules XML file. Open that rules XML file. Here you can find first thing they given DTD. First, this DTD we have to use for our validation XML file while creating our XML file. And you can find here plugin. The same type of plugin we should configure under struts config.xml file. And here they given error messages. These 14 error messages you have to copy and paste into your properties file. You have to create a properties file. There you should put all these error messages. And the remaining all validators. You can see this one is required validator. And here we have required if validator. Okay, these all are predefined validators. Valid when, min length, maximum length, max length. And we have validator, mask validator for expressions, and byte validator, int validator, okay, short validator. Like this we have up to 23 validators: integer, long, float, double, okay, locale, short locale, integer locale, long locale, float locale, then next double locale, then date validator. It's a predefined date validator. Okay, int range validator. Then all these are range validators. Then after all these ranges, here we have credit card validator. Credit card validation means 16-digit credit card number it need to check. That credit card validator they given. Email validator we have. Okay, to check URLs, URL validators. Almost we have all the validators, all the required validations here. So what you should do, you need to create project. In that project, that validation.xml file you just copy and paste it. Okay. Create a dynamic web project. Dynamic web project. Registration form by using validator form. The approach we are going through validator form, right? So validator form example. And we know first we have to add jar files. Add external jars. Add all these struts jar files. Jar files to build path and add the same jar files to runtime lib. And now create your input form. Web content input form. Index.jsp page. Create input form by using struts tags. Import struts tag library first. @taglib URI http:// struts.apache.org.html and prefix with HTML. Now by using these tags, create simple registration form. HTML:form. So on this form action, form action, simple registration. My form action registration. And this form parameters, I need ID and a name, email, then I want some salary here, salary, and I want to do some credit card validation. So I want to check ID. For ID, I want to check range. ID range should be between 111 to 999. The next name should not empty. Email should be email format and it should not empty. Salary should be between something digits. It should be 15,000.5 to 50,000.5 and the credit card number should be valid. And create text boxes. Input type text. Property ID, ID. And to print error messages, you can go through HTML:errors. And the property ID, we should use property, it's a property. Errors property. Property ID also use same your input name ID, error message ID and your input ID, maintain both same names. Okay, the second one is name, the third one is belongs to email, the fourth one is salary, credit card, maintain same names here, credit card, salary, email, name. Anything else? One phone number also just I'll take here to check localization. One phone number field also I'll take, phone number field, property phone, error property phone. Now here overall properties count 6 properties we have. In these 6 properties, almost first 5 properties are same for all, and phone number may need to change, and the salary also may need to change. If he is a US user, we need to check salary in like dollars. Here we need to check in rupees. Okay, so that validation also may need to change. Phone number and salary based on country we need to check, and ID, name, email, credit card, those are common for all the countries. So 4 common validations, 2 specific country validations we have here. Now where we need to write that validations? One submit button we required. Without having submit, we can't able to submit, right? So HTML : submit value registered. Yeah, one validator rules.xml file I copied from there and just I'm putting here. Along with this validator rules XML file, create one validation XML file. That XML file name can be anything. Okay, so here my form name is simple registration form. Here this XML file name also I'll change it, employee registration form .xml. In this XML file you should apply validations. How many locales validations we need to apply? We should apply 2 locales validations. First, main root tag of these validations is form validation, and one common validation for 2 forms, form set. Write first common validations. Common validations for all locales. For all locales or countries or languages. Common validations right here. Form name or form reference name, just I want to create it as RF. My form reference name RF, and for each field we have to use here field property. It is not field name, we should use here field property. Property name, first name is ID, and it depends. We have one keyword, we have one attribute depends. For ID it is required into range. Into range will expect 3 arguments and 2 variables also. So pass 2 arguments and 3 arguments and 2 variables. Variables are, one is min, variable name must it should be min, one variable name max, and your required minimum length as a variable value passed here. Variable val 111 and variable max value 999. And the arguments, ID argument, next minimum argument, maximum argument. ID minimum dynamic value, actually 111 we can write here. In case if you make changes here, then again we have to make changes here, or else dynamically if you read by using expressions, in case if you make any changes here, it will reflect here. So go through var : min. var colon max. And to place the same values in messages, use here resource equal to false. And create one properties file. For this field, we require to configure one error message in properties file. Just I will create one properties file here, new resources. For properties file, one package resources, and I'll create one message properties file here, messages.properties. Here you have to configure one error message. For this ID, we should configure one error message. Which error message? You can find that error message from validation rules.xml file. For range, error message is this one. 0 argument is not in the range 1 through 2. This is the actual error message we have to configure for our int range. So this error message should be there in your properties file. And next, second field. We have one more field, right? Field name. Just a minute. Validator. Okay, fine. Field property. The next field is name. For name, it depends required validator. So required validator error message is, you can find here, this is required error message, error dot required. How many arguments expecting here? Only 0 argument. So just that 0 argument we have to pass here. Argument key equal to 0 argument name. And I don't want any properties file keys here. So then you can configure resource equal to false. And we have one more. Next one is email. For email, you can go through both required comma email. Multiple you can apply here. And field name email. For email, which error message it will send? For email, it is error message. Error dot email message. 0 argument is an invalid email address. Configure it here. So how many arguments expecting? Only one argument. So only one single argument we have to pass from here. We are giving right one single argument email. And we have one more common field. That is what? Credit card. Credit card. We have credit card. So credit card field name is credit card only. For this credit card, apply validation here. Credit card validations. The last between two, credit card. So apply here credit card validation. Depends credit card. How many arguments it requires? Only one single argument it requires. For credit card, actually which error message it will use? From your validation rules XML file you can find. For credit card it will use this error message. 0 argument is an invalid credit card number. So how many arguments expecting? One single argument. For credit card you just need to pass only one single argument here. So in that argument credit card, if I pass, what happens? It will send error message, credit card is an invalid credit card number. That's it. Common fields are over. The next depends on language. For particular language validations also we have here. These form set validations are for common for all the locales. Now Indian mobile validation and Indian mobile validation and salary validation. Write one more form set language. Form set language equal to en and country in. In between this form set, again form name is rf, and in between form and form field names. Field name, one is salary and one more field it is mobile number. It's a phone. So for salary you can apply here range validations. Like int range, here you can apply float range or double range. So if it is range validator, we know how many arguments we need to pass. 3 arguments and 2 variables. So for the salary use 2 arguments, 3 arguments. One is the first argument what we have to pass, salary, and salary minimum maximum. For Indian user, minimum salary like 10,000.5, like some 2 lakhs.5. And coming to phone number, for phone number apply depends here, field not name, field property. For phone number depends, apply mask. In case of mask, 1 argument and 1 variable we have to pass. Argument key equal to phone, resource equal to false, and 1 variable var name mask, and var value variable expression 7 to 9, and the remaining all should be digits, and those are mandatory. That's it. And one more form set for US user. Write one more form set, US user form set. Form set language English, US, salary minimum 1 lakh to 20 lakhs, or else we have to apply them in dollars. We have to say in dollars instead of saying in rupees, or else put in rupees 1 lakh to 20 lakhs. And for phone number, their number it can be between 2 to 4 starting number. That's it. So now if I go through Indian validation, common validations it will execute from the common form set, and the specific validations it will execute from the specific form set. So we have XML files, everything is fine, but we don't have any bean here. Write a bean class, create one package beans, in that beans create a form bean class by extending from validator form. In case of validator form, what request processor will find? If it is instance of validator form, what request processor will do? It will check validations from validation XML file instead of executing from your bean class. So right here properties, we have int id and we have phone number. it's a long phone number, and we have one float, salary, string name, email, we don't have address, credit card, again it is long, credit card should be long, and one more field, yeah, 6 fields enough, right? Generate getters and setters. Generate all setters and getters. That's it. Now create one struts XML file here. Create struts config.xml file. We know actually what we should configure there. First, just to start from, you have to start configurations from action mappings. Okay, even first tag is form beans, also you need to start mappings from action mappings, then you can configure easily, or else you have to remember the some flow you have to remember. So just go through action mappings. First, to create action, so you just find your input page action first here. Input page action is reg, configure that reg here, registration. For this action required form bean reference, I required reference name rf, so then you have to create that registration form reference here from form beans rf, and type class name is beans dot registration form. Now to check validations, validate or validator, validation, attribute name is what? Validate true, and the bean scope by default it is session scope, and input page name index.jsp page. That's it. And we don't have any action class, right? So that we don't need to have any action class configurations. Just here we are doing form to bean mappings only. We don't have controller, right? If you have controller, then controller to success page, bean to controller also we should configure here. Okay, just here we have mappings between input form to validator, just we have here. Okay, then messages properties file, message hyphen resources. Our properties file name is what? It is there in under resources. The properties file name is messages. And finally plugin. To read your XML files, plugins you should configure here. That plugin example configuration here they given in validator rules. Configure that configuration from there and paste it here. Plugin class name, the class name is validator plugin, and there we have one setter method in that class. We have to call that setter method, set property name, path names, and here you have to read two XML files, validator rules.xml file. It is there in under web.inf, right? So read directly from web.inf. And we have one more XML file. That XML file name is employee registration form XML file. Pass that XML file name also here. That's it. Finally deploy and check it. Everything is fine in web.xml file. We forget to configure action servlet here. Action servlet we should configure, right? It is a front controller, so we should configure servlet. Servlet name, any name. Servlet class, org.apache.struts.action. It is action servlet. And compulsory we required here init parameter. Under init parameter, param name should be config, param value your struts config.xml file, web.inf / struts hyphen config.xml file, and along with this one load on startup. Select mapping, select name, action, URL pattern star dot do. Now you can deploy.